Yeah, it's like the chicken and egg question, right? Which one came first? And it's hard to tell. But I suspect it's both, right? I think the liberal ideas being reflected in Indian films uh, were a reflection of what was going on in the society, but also in turn it spurred further liberal ideas. So I think we were in kind of a self-reinforcing loop over there. What came first, I don't know. But once it started, they kept on feeding each other. I don't think anyone was consciously doing it. I think people were simply making movies that they thought appealed to the audience that they had. And I guess films about self-sacrifice were no longer selling the way they were before, and therefore they decided to experiment with different themes, which were much more successful and more in tune with the sensibilities of the people of the time. There was this movie, I think it was Janjeer of Amitabh Bachchan. I forget the name. I'll have to quickly look up the name. But in that film, like Amitabh Bachchan is a young man and is looking for a job, and he's working for this shady Underwood Don, and his father advises him. He says, don't work for this guy. He seems shady. And Amitabh Bachchan just says, well, all businesses are shady. And I thought that line kind of reflected a very common sentiment of the earlier era of the 70s, particularly, that all businesses are shady. Okay. And if you look at the films in the 1990s, the Yash Chopra, Karan Johar films, right? The heroes are fabulously wealthy. They run businesses, but they are also very virtuous and moral. They take such good care of their employees. They're kind to their servants. They are very solicitous of the women in their family. So there is like a 360-degree turn in how business people are morally portrayed, or how their morality is being portrayed. That is really, really stunning. We don't have films anymore where they show businessmen like beating widows and children to extract a few pennies. That, though in 1950s we did have such films. Okay, so some of these changes are so striking. Okay, and you have to admit that it reflects a very different mindset that has bearing on what kind of economic policies the country as a whole is likely to pursue in these two different times. If you believe that businessmen are basically evil, and they would beat widows and children to pinch pennies out of them, then you're not going to have very liberal economic policies. Okay, but if you make allowance for the fact that business people are just like other people, they may or may not be moral, then you are much more open to liberal economic policies.